For centuries, people suffering memory loss have been told there is no true cure, only costly treatments that slow the decline as families watch loved ones fade. Yet buried in the records of ancient China is a forgotten clue, a rare mushroom once reserved for emperors, rumored to restore the mind. Today, neuroscience has uncovered evidence that this 1,400-year-old remedy might actually rewire the brain in weeks, challenging everything we think we know about cognitive decline. But why has this discovery been ignored, and what could it mean for millions struggling right now? That story starts with the hidden gap in modern care. Every year, millions of families face a reality that medicine still can't fix. A wife stands in the kitchen, repeating her husband's name as he stares past her, searching for a memory that won't return. An adult son spends hours sorting pills, watching his mother lose words she once used to comfort him. For those over 45, the odds are hard to ignore. Nearly 1 in 10 will experience some form of cognitive decline, and the numbers only rise with age. Doctors offer prescriptions, acetylcholinesterase inhibitors, memantine, and a growing list of experimental drugs. But the promise is always the same: slow the loss, never reverse it. The price tag climbs with every refill. In the United States alone, the direct cost of dementia care exceeds $345 billion a year, not counting the unpaid hours from loved ones who become caregivers overnight. These hours come at a steep personal cost: missed work, lost sleep, and the constant strain of watching someone slip away in small, silent increments. Support groups fill with stories of frustration. Patients are told to keep calendars, play memory games, and hope for the best. Some try new therapies, brain training apps, vitamin cocktails, or dietary changes. Yet most find only minor relief, if any. Insurance covers little. Clinical trials promise breakthroughs, but most fail before reaching the pharmacy shelf. For families, hope is rationed in small doses, measured against the steady advance of forgetfulness. The burden doesn't just fall on the patient. Spouses and children often become full-time caregivers, sacrificing careers and savings. The economic toll ripples outward: lost income, rising medical bills, and the emotional cost of watching a loved one's personality fade. Even the most advanced hospitals can offer only management, not recovery. For many, the search for answers turns desperate, pushing them to explore remedies far outside the mainstream. The gap between what modern medicine can offer and what families need grows wider every year, leaving millions searching for something more. The story of lion's mane mushroom in Chinese medicine begins not with a royal decree or a dramatic prohibition, but with a puzzle. No Tang Dynasty legal code or medical scroll confirms the legend of imperial exclusivity. Instead, the earliest written records leave a trail of ambiguity. In the 7th century, the Tang court compiled the Xin Xiu Ben Cao, a sweeping pharmacopoeia with hundreds of entries. Lingzhi and other rare fungi appear in its pages, but lion's mane is absent. The legal codes of the era, known for their meticulous lists of forbidden goods and severe punishments, make no mention of mushrooms reserved for the throne. Yet, centuries later, lion's mane emerges in the Compendium of Materia Medica, a Ming Dynasty text revered by generations of physicians. Here it is praised for aiding digestion and nourishing the body, but not for restoring memory or serving as a sovereign's secret. The mushroom's association with the elite likely grew from its rarity and its reputation as a delicacy, rather than from any written law. Buddhist monks, seeking clarity and calm, are said to have consumed it during meditation, though these stories surface in much later accounts. A historian specializing in ancient Chinese medicine reflects that the Tang Dynasty valued many exotic remedies, and the evidence for lion's mane as an imperial privilege is circumstantial at best. Most claims trace back to oral traditions or modern retellings, not primary sources. The mushroom's journey from forest floor to palace table remains shrouded in uncertainty. What is clear is that by the Song and Ming dynasties, lion's mane had entered the lexicon of traditional medicine, celebrated for its nourishing properties, and gradually woven into the broader tapestry of Chinese healing arts. This uncertainty invites a new kind of question, one that science is now poised to answer. If the ancient texts offer only hints, what can modern research reveal about the mushroom's effects on the brain? The search for evidence moves from the scrolls of history to the laboratories of today, where the mysteries of lion's mane are tested not by legend, but by experiment. Deep inside the brain, a silent sentry stands guard. The blood-brain barrier is a fortress built from tightly linked cells, forming walls so dense that even most medicines cannot pass through. This barrier protects the brain from toxins, bacteria, and the endless stream of chemicals moving through the bloodstream. Its defenses are strict, and only select nutrients like glucose and certain amino acids gain entry through specialized gates. Even water must cross carefully regulated channels. For decades, this barrier has frustrated scientists searching for ways to heal the brain from within. Most compounds, no matter how promising in a lab dish, are stopped cold at the threshold. The tight junctions between endothelial cells are so narrow that even large proteins are excluded, and they let less than 2% of small molecules cross unaided. Antibiotics, chemotherapy drugs, and even some vitamins are blocked, leaving neurological diseases notoriously difficult to treat. Yet the barrier is not absolute. Fat-soluble molecules, small enough to slip through cell membranes, sometimes find a way in. This is why certain psychoactive drugs and anesthetics can reach the brain, while most others cannot. The difference between a substance that heals and one that never arrives often comes down to its ability to navigate this microscopic maze. For any remedy to have a direct effect on memory, cognition, or nerve repair, it must first pass this crucial test. The blood-brain barrier is not just a wall, it is a gatekeeper, deciding which molecules reach the neurons at the heart of every thought and memory. Any claim of a natural substance rewiring the brain must begin with this challenge. Can it cross the barrier that guards the mind's inner sanctum? Inside every healthy brain, a microscopic messenger works around the clock. This messenger is called nerve growth factor, or NGF, a protein discovered in the 1950s that acts like a gardener for the nervous system. NGF does not just keep neurons alive, it encourages them to sprout new branches called dendrites, and it helps repair damaged connections. These dendritic branches are where memories form and signals travel, making NGF essential for learning, focus, and memory retention. When NGF levels drop, as they often do with age or disease, neurons shrink and connections wither, contributing to the slow fade of cognitive abilities seen in dementia and other disorders. Lion's mane mushroom contains compounds, most notably arenacenes and hericenones, that have drawn scientific interest for their effect on NGF. In laboratory studies, extracts from lion's mane have been shown to boost NGF production in cultured nerve cells. Animal research goes further. Rats given arenacine-enriched extracts developed longer, more complex dendrites in key memory centers of the brain. These changes were not just visible under a microscope. The animals performed better on maze tests and memory challenges, suggesting that NGF-driven growth translated into real cognitive gains. Unlike most natural supplements, the active molecules in lion's mane are small and fat-soluble enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, reaching neurons deep within the brain. Once inside, they appear to stimulate NGF gene expression, setting off a chain reaction that leads to the growth and repair of neural networks. This process, called neuritogenesis, is the biological foundation for the brain's ability to rewire itself, what scientists call neuroplasticity. The evidence from animal and cell studies lays the groundwork for understanding how lion's mane might help restore memory and mental clarity in humans. The next step is to see if these molecular changes translate into measurable improvements in people facing real cognitive decline. A neurologist sits at her desk, flipping through the pages of a clinical trial published in 2009. The title stands out: Improving Effects of the Mushroom Yamabushitake, Hericium erinaceus, on Mild Cognitive Impairment, a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial. 30 older adults in Japan, all diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment, took part in the study. 15 received 3 grams of lion's mane mushroom powder each day for 16 weeks. The other 15 received a matched placebo. Every participant was evaluated using the revised Hasegawa Dementia Scale, known as HDSR, a standard tool for measuring memory and mental clarity in aging populations. Week by week, researchers tracked changes in cognitive function. By the end of the trial, those taking lion's mane scored an average of 3.5 points higher on the HDSR scale, a 12% improvement from their own baseline. The placebo group, in contrast, saw their scores slip slightly. The difference between groups reached statistical significance, with a p-value of less than 0.001. This was not just a blip. The gains persisted through the full 16 weeks, only fading after the mushroom was stopped during a washout period of 4 weeks. No serious side effects were reported. A handful of participants mentioned mild stomach discomfort or nausea, but these complaints were split between the lion's mane and placebo groups. Adherence stayed above 90%, with only 3 participants dropping out for reasons unrelated to the supplement. The study's design was randomized, double-blind, and placebo-controlled, which meant neither participants nor clinicians knew who received the real mushroom, reducing the risk of bias. Yet the data have limits. The sample size was small, just 15 people per group. All participants were Japanese, raising questions about generalizability. The researchers did not measure direct changes in brain structure or nerve growth factor levels, relying instead on cognitive test scores. Funding came from a company involved in mushroom production, a detail the authors disclose. Still, for families and clinicians searching for hope beyond symptom management, this trial offered the first measured sign that lion's mane could move the needle on memory loss. A mycologist in a small urban lab picks up a block of hardwood dotted with white tendrils. Lion's mane grows best on logs or sterilized sawdust, but the real secret is not just how you grow it, it is how you extract its compounds. Dual extraction is the gold standard. One process uses hot water to pull out polysaccharides, like beta-glucans, which support immune health and may play a supporting role in brain function. The other uses alcohol to dissolve lipophilic compounds, arenosines and hexokinase, the molecules that animal studies link to nerve growth factor production and blood-brain barrier crossing. Skipping either step leaves half the benefits behind. Yield matters too. A single log can produce up to 2 pounds of fresh fruiting bodies per year, enough for months of daily use. Commercial dual extracts typically concentrate these compounds, with each gram of powder containing the equivalent of up to 10 grams of raw mushroom. The cost is about $30 to $40 a month for a reputable dual extract, or just the price of a starter kit if you grow your own. The mycologist slices a fresh cluster, dries it, and begins the extraction. Hot water for an hour, followed by a long soak in high-proof alcohol. The result is a tincture and a tea, each capturing different fractions. Only when combined do you get the full spectrum that research suggests supports both immune and neurological health. This hands-on approach puts the power of sourcing and quality control back in the hands of the individual, bypassing the uncertainty of mass-market supplements. A natural product like lion's mane faces a wall in the world of drug development. Pharmaceutical companies invest billions to bring a new treatment to market, but that investment depends on one thing: the ability to secure a patent. Without legal exclusivity, any competitor can copy a discovery and undercut the return on research and development. An economist specializing in intellectual property explains that patents protect synthetic drugs for up to 20 years. With a mushroom, you cannot patent the organism itself, only a specific method of extraction or formulation. That is a much weaker shield. The economics are stark. Developing a new drug can cost upwards of $2 billion, with years of clinical trials and regulatory hurdles. For a compound that anyone can grow, harvest, or sell, there is little incentive for companies to fund large-scale human studies or navigate the complex approval process. This barrier is not unique to lion's mane. The same challenge faces other natural remedies, such as turmeric, ginkgo, and even aspirin before it was synthesized. As a result, evidence for these substances often lags behind that of patented drugs, not because they lack potential, but because the financial model does not support the same level of investment. This structural hurdle shapes which treatments reach pharmacy shelves and which remain on the fringes, no matter how promising the early science may be. No supplement, no matter how promising, is without risk. Lion's mane mushrooms, like many natural products, are not regulated to the same standard as prescription drugs. Quality can vary from one brand to the next. Independent lab tests have found that nearly a quarter of lion's mane supplements on the market contain levels of heavy metals or mycotoxins above recommended limits. Wild harvested mushrooms are especially vulnerable to soil contamination, and some imported products have triggered recalls after failing safety checks. Even dual extracted powders, often seen as the gold standard, are only as clean as their source material and processing methods. Interactions with medications are another concern. Lion's mane may thin the blood, raising the bleeding risk for those on anticoagulants like warfarin or aspirin. Rare cases of low blood sugar have appeared in people taking diabetes medication alongside the mushroom. Allergic reactions, though uncommon, have included rashes and stomach upset. Most clinical trials report side effects similar to placebo, mild and temporary. But these studies are small and short-term. A neurologist specializing in cognitive health offers a word of caution. Supplements are not one size fits all. Before starting lion's mane, especially if you take prescription drugs or have a chronic illness, talk to your doctor. Look for brands that publish third-party test results for contaminants. Start with a low dose and monitor for any changes. The promise of brain support is real, but so is the responsibility to use these tools wisely. Today, as neurological disorders reach record highs, science confirms the brain's capacity to change, sometimes with help from nature's simplest gifts. Lion's mane is not a miracle, but evidence now shows ancient wisdom and modern research share more ground than we once believed. The future of brain health may depend less on invention and more on rediscovering what has been growing quietly all along. Share your thoughts below.